Today I will be making popular movie characters in LEGO. Now LEGO have made quite a lot of sets based off popular movie franchises such as Star Wars, the Harry Potter films, the Marvel films, and the list goes on. However, there are still quite a lot of films that LEGO have not made in LEGO that are very popular and iconic to this day. Whether those be new films that have just been released or really old films that are just still iconic and really popular. So in today's video, I will be setting on a challenge to make some iconic and popular movie characters in LEGO. Now before we begin the video, just want to say that if you do enjoy, then make sure to smash that like button as well, subscribe and turn on notifications. But with that being said, everyone, let's do it. Alright, first off we have Rambo starring Sylvester Stallone. Now Rambo, in my opinion, is probably one of the most popular movie franchises to date. The first Rambo film did come out in 1982 and the very recent one, Rambo Last Blood, did come out in 2019. Now when Rambo did come out in 1982, it was one of the most popular characters at that time period, and a lot of people did really enjoy the films, and even now it is still a very well-known character and is a very iconic one indeed. So of course I decided to recreate this one first. In order to create Rambo, I decided to use these blue legs that came from Rex from the Lego Movie 2, and then I decided to use this torso that I ended up flipping backwards from an Imperial officer with the flesh arms on the sides there. And then for the face, I ended up using the Lego Batman movie Caveman Batman face from the CMF series. Main reason why was because I wanted to sort of show the band that he has on the top there, and that was the most accurate thing I had. And then I also used the hairpiece from Loki, and then I did give him a gun, of course, as well. And the gun that I gave him was the one that comes from the Punisher from the Lego Daily Bugle set. And overall, I think it actually turned out really good, obviously without the back there, but overall I think it actually looks really good, and I think it is a pretty accurate representation of Rambo himself. Alright, next up we have another film that came out in the 1980s, and that is Top Gun. So this film released in 1986, and obviously we did get the follow-up film Top Gun Maverick, which released in 2022, which was a sequel, of course, of the first film. Now the character that I will be recreating is Tom Cruise himself, of course, who does play Maverick in this film. So in order to recreate this character, I decided to use the torso and the legs from the Steve Rogers minifigure that came in the Hydra Stomper set. I just thought that the color scheme and the detailing fitted perfectly for the pilot outfit that Tom Cruise does wear. And then I also decided to use the face, which came from a Tom Cruise character, and this was from the Lego Dimensions Ethan Hunt character from Mission Impossible. So I thought it was a perfect fit as it is the same actor. And then I also decided to use this brown hair piece right here to sort of represent his hair. And overall, I think it actually looks really, really good in my opinion. Next up, we have Forrest Gump. So this film came out in 1994, and this stars the legendary Tom Hanks. So essentially this film is about Tom Hanks telling his life story from how he was a little boy who wasn't able to run to where he is in life now. And the character I decided to recreate was, of course, Forrest Gump himself. So in order to recreate this character, I decided to use these brown legs as well as this torso, which came from the Central Perk set, and this head, which also came from that same set, as well as this hairpiece as well, which was the most accurate representation I could get out of him. And overall, I think it looks pretty good and is a decent representation of Tom Hanks. Alright, next up we have a bit more of a newer iconic character, and this is John Wick himself. Now John Wick is an extremely popular character in my opinion. I feel like his movies are very hyped every time they do come out, and he was even a skin in Fortnite as well, so that makes him even more popular. So today we will be, of course, recreating the main guy himself, John Wick, who is played by Keanu Reeves. Now, it wasn't too hard to recreate this minifigure, as all I did was end up using this torso and legs from Cedric Diggory, which came in the Clock Tower set, as well as this face from Doctor Strange, and this hairpiece, which is quite common, and I also added him a knife for an accessory as well. And overall, I think it looks quite good and is a decent representation of the character. Alright, now jumping back to the 80s, we have another iconic film, which is Die Hard, starring Bruce Willis. So this film came out in 1988 and was pretty popular back then, and still is in my opinion, and it was definitely up there along with Rambo, as well as the Terminator, as well as Rocky as well. So of course I will be recreating the character that Bruce Willis does play in this film in Die Hard, so let's get into it. So in order to make this character, I ended up using the dark brown legs as well as the torso from Luke Skywalker, and then I also replaced the arms as well, and then I ended up using the face from Bucky Barnes from the Marvel CMF series, and then the hair from the Peter Venkman figure from Ghostbusters. And overall, I'm pretty impressed with how it turned out. Definitely looks like Bruce Willis in my opinion from Die Hard. Alright, so next up we have RoboCop. Now this film came out in 1987 and starred Peter Weller as RoboCop. And essentially the film is about a cop who dies and his body is put in a robot. This is essentially the Iron Man before the Iron Man. And overall, you know, it's a really iconic character in my opinion. I think that it's definitely a very memorable one. So I decided to recreate this guy in Lego, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is the figure. Now this is actually a custom minifigure from minifigs.me. If you want to get this minifigure, then use the code the Unibricks to get 10% off your order. And this is overall, in my opinion, a really great custom minifigure. It's extremely detailed. However, if you do want to recreate this minifigure without having to get any customs, then I would definitely recommend using the torso and the legs from the Whiplash minifigure or the Iron Man Mark II minifigure. And as for the face, I'm not really too sure about that. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think would personally go well for the face of RoboCop. Alright, next up we have Braveheart starring Mel Gibson. Now, this film came out in 1995 and is actually based off true events that happened, so I decided to recreate Mel Gibson's character in Lego. In order to do this, I used the legs from the Caveman Batman minifigure as well as the torso from the pirate minifigure that came in the Star Wars Millennium Falcon from The Force Awakens, and then switched the arms out and used the head from one of the Lord of the Rings minifigures as well as the hair from Hermione Granger. And overall, I definitely think it looks quite good in my opinion. I think it's a decent representation of Mel Gibson. Alright, next up we have Blade Runner 2049. Now this is obviously a sequel to the original Blade Runner that came out in the 1970s starring Harrison Ford. However, I decided to recreate the latest one mainly because I really wanted to make a Ryan Gosling minifigure in Lego. So I decided to recreate this film. Of course, it does star Ryan Gosling as well as Harrison Ford himself. So let's get into it. So first off, I did Ryan Gosling's character and I decided to use these legs as well as a torso from the Vulture minifigure. And then I used this head from Bucky Barnes as well as his hairpiece. And overall, I'm pretty impressed with how it turned out in my opinion. And then of course, we had to do Harrison Ford's character as well. So for this, I ended up using these blue legs as well as the Harry Potter torso with the arms switched around. And then the head and hair from the Han Solo minifigure that appeared in the Millennium Falcon from The Force Awakens. Alright, next up we have one of my most favourite movie franchises of all time, and that is Men in Black starring Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. Now, the film I decided to recreate was Men in Black 3, mainly because that's just my personal favourite one. So for Agent K, I decided to recreate Josh Brolin, who plays a younger version of Tommy Lee Jones in that film. So with that being said, everyone, let's dive right into it. Okay, so first off, I decided to do Will Smith's character. Now, in order to do this, I used the torso and legs from the Cedric Diggory's character from the Clock Tower set and switched the hands out. And then for the head, I ended up using Blade's head as well as the hairpiece from the Falcon minifigure that appeared in the CMF series. And then for Josh Brolin's Agent K character, I decided to again use Cedric's torso and legs. And then I ended up switching the hands back to how they were before. And then I used the face from Hagrid as well as this hairpiece right here, which is quite common. And overall, I'm pretty impressed with how it turned out. I think that it definitely looks age appropriate there for Josh Brolin's character in the film. And then, of course, I had to save the best character for last, and that is the Terminator, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. The first Terminator film came out in 1984, and this character is, to date, one of the most popular and iconic characters to ever exist. And overall, I was really excited to build this character in Lego. It is a really iconic character and just such a cool concept, in my opinion. So let's get right into it. Okay, so for the minifigure, I decided to use the dark brown legs as well as the torso from the Lego Batman movie Rock and Roll Batman minifigure. And then for the face, I had to actually use Harry Potter's head. And I had to use a Sharpie to colour in the glasses there to get the sunglasses look because I didn't have any other minifigures that actually matched that. And then I used the hairpiece that came from Cedric Diggory. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And then, of course, gave him some guns as well because he loves his guns. And overall, I think it is a decent representation. The only thing is, in my opinion, the face, which could have done a little bit more work, in my opinion. But I think for what I had, I definitely did a decent job there. But there we go, everyone. With that being said, this is the end of the video. I had an absolute blast making this, and I hope that you did enjoy. If you did like this video, then make sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite character was that I did customize, and if you would like me to make a part 2. And if you do want me to make a part 2, then let me know in the comments also what characters you would like to also make me see. And I'll talk to you guys soon. So peace out, see you later, and bye bye.